cocktails. So now at this point, I think we've all settled in for our beers with Bashir, and then our dinner, and now we're doing cocktails. Doesn't that sound like a nice, pleasant evening? Okay, so we're doing Sazerac, like I mentioned last night. Sazerac is basically an old-fashioned with a couple of tweaks to it. It's almost like a flavored old-fashioned, if you will. And the base of an old-fashioned is spirit, sugar, bitters, super easy. Normally with a Sazerac, you would do a rye, and so I'm using Rye from Corsair, which is really complex, chocolatey kind of flavored rye, which is going to be really good. Normally you'd use Peychaud's bitters. I did not have any, so I'm using the classic Angostura again. And then this is going to involve absinthe as your flavoring element. We're going to do a glass rinse with that. Absinthe tastes like black jelly beans because it's licorice. Not everybody likes that, so we're going to come up with an alternate. So I'm going to go ahead and make 2 Sazeracs simultaneously, and then I'm going to split them apart at the end for different flavoring components. And then we're going to do a mocktail version off to the side there. So I started by chilling my bar glasses, or old-fashioned glasses in this case, with some crushed ice. Now, normally there's a whole show involved with making a Sazerac. You got to start with an ice, start with a sugar cube, the water, you got to muddle it, you got to do a whole thing, skipping that. So I'm going to use simple syrup and just make it easier on myself. So I'm going to start with 2 dashes of Angostura bitters. I'm doubling this, so I'm making it 4. Boom. And now I'm going to do just a 1/4 ounce of simple syrup, doubling it, so I'm making it a half.
And as always, we'll put the recipe online later.
Yep. And 2 ounces of the Rye again, doubling it, gonna make it 4. Now, if you're making an old-fashioned and you back in the 1800s and you had some citrus zest, you typically add that at the end. You do a little twist over it.
Did we just say Sazerac?
Drop it in. Sorry, doing an old-fashioned. I meant to say old-fashioned, didn't I?
You said old-fashioned. I didn't know.
Yeah, making old-fashioned back in the 1800s. Okay. And you have lemon peel. That's how
just
you would do
it.
You would twist it over the top. You drop it in. Okay. But for this, for the Sazerac, I'm going to take and get some lemon peel here. But I'm going to drop it into my drink in my mixing glass. It's getting a little soft, a little old. It's not going to be as potent as it should, but that's all right. I'll push that back down there. And then stir to combine. This doesn't take that much to combine it. All these ingredients play well with each other. So I'm just going to spin that up. It's mostly about chilling it at this point and giving it a little bit of dilution because the integration happens really, really fast. And now, because this is actually served neat, and you could in theory serve it in a fancy glass. You can serve it in a coupe or something like that. But I'm not. I'm serving one of these. Chill the glass. I'm going to present it neat. But here is the final step. I'm going to give the glass a rinse. So I'm putting a little bit of absinthe. It's Copper & King's absinthe down in there. A lot of bartenders got in the habit of putting a lot in and doing this kind of rinse where you just want to get it up and around the glass as close to the lip as possible, and then discarding the extra. I try to get just as little as possible so that I get a good coating, and then I don't have anything to discard. If there's just a little bit left, it's just going to flavor the cocktail a little bit more. Sometimes bartenders nowadays are going to use a mister, so just and then it coats the whole thing. Super easy. If you've got this on a cocktail menu, your bartender probably is doing the spritz just to get through enough of them in a night. Now, not everybody likes that black jelly bean, so I just picked up a different liqueur here. Basically, this is actually a flavored brandy, De Kuyper Kirschwasser, so it's cherry liqueur. So I'm going to make a cherry Sazerac.
I actually don't think it counts as a liqueur, does it? Because I don't think that one's actually got a lot of sugar in it.
That's a good question. I don't know. I don't know. It doesn't say anything, obviously. It just says...
I've stumped Tim!
It says flavored brandy. So because they're not required to put um, the ingredients on alcohol, I don't actually know. So we'll go with flavored brandy. So
Well, we'll try to look up the answer to that too.
Yeah. It could go either way. But anyway, the point is it's going to bring a different type of aromatic, a different type of flavor. You can do this with pretty much any liqueur. You get the same kind of effect out of it. So I got my nice rinse there. Now that actually has a little bit more than I want, so I'm going to dump out just a hair bit of that, just so there's a small amount left in it. Now I'm filtering out everything. The ice and the lemon peel. I don't let them in my drink. Basically, there's one for me and one for Hillary. I'm not a big fan of the flavor of cherry.
And I'm not a fan of the licorice.
Exactly. So that's how I can kind of respect that some people aren't going to like the licorice flavor. So this one's for me. And it's very potent black jelly bean. Like the aromatic on this is the dominant character initially. You have to get deep into the cocktail to get into the flavor.
Oh, that's good. Mm-hmm. Do you want to try this one?
No, I'm good with this one. This was fantastic.
See, we really don't necessarily like all of the same things.
Nope, we don't. So this is a really enjoyable absinthe for me. So that's really good. So now we're going to try and do a mocktail version of that. So that's our cocktail version. I'm not going to go through and mix the whole thing. I'm just going to build it right in the glass. And in order to get the traditional flavor profile, we're using a Breathe Easy tea because this has fennel fruit, licorice fruit, eucalyptus. We're not using this for its medicinal properties. We're using it because the flavor profile is going to be really interesting and really comparable. If you don't have this, you don't have licorice fruit, fennel seed or star anise is going to give you that same flavor profile as a base. So I'm going to do, I prepared it earlier. I'm trying to pull it out of a mug. Actually, I'm almost doing this wrong because I'm not used to building mocktails. I'm still going to start with my bitters. I'm going to season my ice.
We talked about earlier today the fact that even though you're using Angostura, it's not going to add a lot of alcohol to it if it's Angostura, but if you want something that is absolutely no alcohol, there are a couple of aromatic bitters that use a glycerin base. I think we said that Fee Brothers uses a glycerin base. Just double check the ingredient list, and there are some bitters out there that'll give you the flavor profile with absolutely no alcohol. But the amount of alcohol that's going into this right now, even with the Angostura, is... What did you say earlier today?
It drops.
It was that if you have fruit on the counter, that it's probably got as much fermented product in the fruit.
Yeah, exactly.
As what you're putting in here.
I've had chocolate-covered strawberries that sat out for a little while, wind up having more alcohol in them than that. So it is very, very minimal. But if you're concerned about that, obviously there are other options out there. And you can potentially make your own bitters. So, and then I'm doing the same thing with the lemon that you would normally do in an old-fashioned. I'm going to drop it down in there. I'm actually going to put the lemon on the end of the spoon so that it gets good exposure over the whole drink.
Did you do the simple syrup in this yet?
I did the simple syrup. So I did 2 dashes of bitters, 1/4 ounce of simple. Bring up the sweetness if you prefer a sweeter drink, but I'm keeping it really low. The lemon, just going to give it a big accent. And then all of the licorice and spice flavor is going to come from the tea. And look at that. The lemon went right up to the top, which is kind of cool. I'm going to leave it right there.
It's like it's trying to escape.
So the lemon is going to be the primary aroma here. So it's going to be a little different than the others. But the flavor on that is really nice. It's not too sweet. I wouldn't bring up the sweetness any more than that. The licorice is not overpowering. It's actually balanced a little bit more with the lemon than doing it this way because I left the ice in the glass and just built it that way.
It's pretty good.
So it's pretty good. Just as a variant way of doing it. So there you go. Traditional Sazerac, cherry Sazerac. Think about any liqueur that you have, or even like a flavored whiskey or something. It's going to bring you those kinds of flavors. And then we've got a mocktail version, starting with your tea base, or if you want to make your own with licorice root, fennel, star anise, and then combine the rest of your ingredients. Bitters, your sweet element, and lemon and there you go. And so,
I do have one comment on the mocktail is that if you want to drink it over a longer period of time, I would go ahead and do the filtration process on the
yeah,
ice because that ice is going to melt into it and dilute the flavor. It's really great as it is, though.
mm-hmm. Yeah, and it'd be easy to drink pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. And then we don't know what we're doing tomorrow, do we?
No, we don't.
Okay. No.
We haven't gone through the cabinet again, so we'll have to do that. But again, if anybody has any suggestions, comments, questions, products that they have in their cabinet that they want, I am trying to work out the possibility of doing a guest remotely, so so we keep more than a 6 foot distance. But we'll see how that goes. I've got to do a little bit more research because I'm debating a couple of different options. One of them is to do a pre-recorded video and have somebody else do one cocktail, and then Tim will still do two. But I've got to work out the details. And also, Facebook kind of threw me for a loop tonight when I turned it on, and it gave me a completely different screen. So I have to look at that a little bit more closely too.
Thanks, Facebook. Okay, thank you all for watching. Send us your ideas in the comments. Appreciate it. Have a good night.